Stop worrying. Let those words land softly in your heart, not as a command shouted in frustration, but as a gentle invitation to breathe again. You have been carrying too much, thinking too far ahead, replaying too much of the past, and expecting yourself to solve what was never meant to be solved by you alone. Worry has been sitting beside you like a constant companion, whispering questions without answers, painting pictures of tomorrow that steal the peace of today. And yet, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still held. That alone is proof that something greater than your fear has been taking care of you all along. Worry often disguises itself as responsibility. It tells you that if you don't think about everything, plan for everything, and prepare for every possible outcome, things will fall apart. But the truth is, life has never depended entirely on your ability to worry. There were days you survived that you never planned for. There were doors that opened that you never knocked on. There were protections you never saw, dangers you never encountered, and answers that arrived at the exact moment you needed them. God was there then, quietly arranging, gently guiding, patiently providing. Why would today be any different? Look at how much energy worry consumes. It steals your sleep, tightens your chest, clouds your thinking, and drains your joy. It pulls you away from the only moment you are actually living now. Worry promises safety but delivers exhaustion. Faith, on the other hand, does not deny reality. It simply refuses to believe that reality is without divine care. Faith says, I will do my part, and I will trust God with the rest. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. You were never meant to carry the weight of the universe on your shoulders. You were meant to walk, step by step, day by day, trusting that the ground would meet your feet as you moved forward. God does not ask you to understand everything. God asks you to trust. And trust does not mean that you will never feel afraid. It means that when fear shows up, it does not get the final word. Think about how worry pulls you into an imaginary future. You suffer over things that have not happened, and many of them never will. You rehearse pain in advance, borrowing trouble from tomorrow and paying for it today with your peace. But today has enough of its own lessons, enough of its own beauty, enough of its own grace. God's care operates in the present. Daily bread is given daily, not all at once. Strength arrives when the moment requires it, not before. There is a deep freedom in admitting, I don't have to know how this will work out. That sentence can feel terrifying at first, because control feels like safety. But control is an illusion. Even when you think you are in charge, there are countless factors beyond your reach. Faith does not increase uncertainty. It simply acknowledges it and then places it in God's hands. When you let go, you make room for peace to enter. Remember how often you worried in the past, only to look back later and realize that things unfolded differently than you imagined. Some problems resolved themselves. Some losses led to new beginnings. Some delays were actually protection. Some endings made space for growth you could not have predicted. If God could guide you through those moments, God can guide you through this one too. God's care does not always look the way you expect. Sometimes it comes as strength instead of relief, patience instead of answers, and endurance instead of escape. But it is still care. Even silence can be purposeful. Even waiting can be sacred. Even unanswered questions can shape a deeper trust. When you stop demanding immediate clarity, you begin to notice subtle guidance, quiet reassurance, and small mercies that appear along the way. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not facing life alone. The same power that keeps the stars in place is aware of your worries, your tears, and your unspoken fears. Nothing about your life is insignificant. Nothing about your pain is invisible. God's care is not distant or abstract. It is present, personal, and constant. Even when you cannot feel it, stop worrying does not mean stop caring. It means stop tormenting yourself with what you cannot control. Care with wisdom. Plan with humility. Work with dedication. Then rest with trust. There is a rhythm to life that includes effort and surrender. When you honor both, your heart finds balance. Today, choose to release at least one worry, just one. Name it, acknowledge it, and then consciously place it in God's hands. You may have to do this again tomorrow, and the day after that. Faith is not a one-time act, it is a daily practice. Each time you let go, even a little, you strengthen your trust. When worry returns, and it will, remind yourself of this truth: worrying has never added a single hour of peace to your life. Trust, however, has the power to transform how you experience every hour you are given. Trust does not change circumstances overnight, but it changes you within them. It steadies your breath, it softens your thoughts. It allows hope to coexist with uncertainty. There is courage in resting. There is bravery in believing that you are supported. The world may tell you that you are on your own, that you must fight for everything, that weakness is unacceptable. Faith tells you something different. It tells you that asking for help is strength, that resting is necessary, and that you are allowed to lean on God when you are tired. You do not have to solve your entire life today. You do not have to figure out every relationship, every financial concern, every fear about the future. You only have to take the next right step and trust that God is already present in the steps that follow. Clarity often comes after movement, not before it. Notice how peace feels in your body when you stop arguing with reality. When you stop saying, "This shouldn't be happening," and start saying, "I trust that I am not alone in this." Acceptance is not giving up, it is opening up to a deeper flow of guidance. Resistance keeps you tense. Trust allows you to move with grace. God's care is not fragile. It does not depend on your perfect faith or flawless behavior. Even when your belief feels small, even when doubt creeps in, care remains. You are held even when your grip slips. That is the nature of grace. Today is not just another day to survive. It is a day to remember that you are supported. It is a day to loosen the tight hold of worry and allow yourself to experience moments of calm. Even a few seconds of peace matter. They remind your soul of what is possible. As you go through today, let trust be a quiet background melody, not a loud demand. Let it whisper, "You are okay right now." Because right now you are. You are breathing, you are alive, you are being guided. Even if the path ahead is not fully visible. Stop worrying does not mean stop feeling. Feel what you need to feel, but do not let fear take the steering wheel. Let faith sit beside you, reminding you that there is a bigger picture unfolding, one that includes hope, purpose, and care beyond your understanding. God is taking care of everything today, not everything tomorrow, not everything forever, just today, and today is enough. When tomorrow comes, it will bring its own grace. Until then, rest, trust, walk forward gently. You are not alone, and you never have been. Trust replaces anxiety when you remember that a higher wisdom is guiding even what you cannot see. Anxiety grows in the dark spaces of uncertainty, where your mind tries to fill the gaps with fear, assumptions, and imagined outcomes. It thrives when you believe that everything depends on your understanding, your planning, and your ability to predict what comes next. But the moment you remember that there is a wisdom greater than your own, a wisdom that sees the full picture while you only see a single frame, anxiety begins to lose its grip. You do not need to see the entire road to take the next step. Life has never revealed itself all at once. It unfolds gradually, teaching you trust through movement, not through complete clarity. When you accept that you are not meant to have all the answers, you free yourself from the pressure of pretending that you do. Higher wisdom works beyond your limited perspective, arranging outcomes, lessons, and protections that you could never design on your own. So much of anxiety comes from asking, what if? What if this goes wrong? What if I fail? What if I lose something I care about? Trust answers those questions not with detailed explanations, but with reassurance. It says, even if you do not understand, you are still guided. Even if you feel unsure, you are still supported. This does not mean that challenges disappear. It means that challenges no longer feel like proof that you are abandoned or on the wrong path. When you believe that a higher wisdom is at work, you stop interpreting every delay as a denial and every obstacle as a dead end. You begin to see them as redirections, pauses meant for preparation, or moments designed to build strength you will soon need. What looks like chaos from your viewpoint may be alignment from a greater one. What feels like loss may be making room for something more fitting to who you are becoming. Trust invites patience. It teaches you to wait without despair and to move without panic. Instead of forcing outcomes, you learn to cooperate with the flow of life. You still take responsibility, you still act, but you release the desperate need to control how everything turns out. That release is where peace enters. It is not passive surrender, it is confident reliance on guidance that does not fail. There will be times when you cannot feel this guidance, when silence feels heavy and answers seem distant. In those moments, trust becomes a choice rather than a feeling. You choose to believe that just because you cannot see the work being done does not mean nothing is happening. Seeds grow underground long before they break the surface. In the same way, higher wisdom is often shaping outcomes in ways that are invisible to you now, but will make sense later. As you lean into this trust, anxiety softens. Your thoughts slow down. Your heart finds space to breathe. You stop fighting the unknown and start walking with it, confident that you are not alone on the path. Remembering that a higher wisdom is guiding even what you cannot see does not remove uncertainty from life, but it transforms uncertainty from a source of fear into a place where faith can grow. Peace grows when you release control and allow today to unfold under God's care. Control often feels like protection, but in reality, it is usually a response to fear. It is the tight grip you place on life when you are afraid that if you let go, everything will fall apart. You plan every detail, rehearse every conversation, and try to manage outcomes that are far beyond your reach. Yet the more you try to control, the heavier your heart becomes. Peace does not grow in clenched hands, it grows in open ones. Releasing control does not mean giving up responsibility or becoming careless about your choices. It means understanding the difference between what is yours to do and what is not yours to carry. You are responsible for your intentions, your actions, and the effort you bring into each moment. You are not responsible for how every situation turns out, how every person responds, or how every future detail unfolds. When you place those things into God's care, you create space for calm to enter your life. So much inner conflict comes from resisting the present moment. You wish today were different. You wish answers came faster. You wish circumstances aligned more neatly with your expectations. But peace begins the moment you stop fighting what is and start trusting that even this moment is not outside of God's awareness. Allowing today to unfold does not mean you approve of every difficulty. It means you stop letting difficulty rob you of your inner stillness. Under God's care, today does not need to be perfect to be meaningful. It does not need to be easy to be purposeful. Even ordinary moments, even struggles, even waiting seasons are held within a greater plan. When you remember this, you no longer rush the day or demand more from it than it can give. You meet it as it is, with humility and trust. Releasing control also softens your expectations of yourself. You stop demanding perfection. You stop measuring your worth by outcomes. You allow yourself to be human, to learn, to adjust, and to grow. God's care is not conditional upon your flawless performance. It is constant, steady, and patient. And knowing this allows you to move through the day without the crushing pressure to get everything right. Peace grows quietly. It does not arrive with loud declarations or sudden miracles. It settles in gently when you choose to breathe instead of panic, to pray instead of obsess, and to trust instead of resist. Each time you release control, even in small ways, peace deepens. Each time you say, I will do what I can, and I will trust God with the rest, you strengthen that peace. Allow today to unfold. Let go of the urge to predict every outcome or fix every problem before it happens. Today carries enough grace for today. Tomorrow will carry its own. Under God's care, you are not late, you are not forgotten, and you are not failing. You are exactly where you need to be to learn, to grow, and to be guided. And in that realization, peace finds a place to stay. Strength is born when faith teaches you to rest, act, and hope at the same time. Many people believe strength comes from constant effort, endless struggle, and never slowing down. They think rest is weakness, hope is namarvi, and faith is only something you turn to when everything else fails. But true strength is far more balanced and far more enduring. It is not built through exhaustion alone. It is formed when your spirit learns how to pause, how to move forward wisely, and how to believe even when results are not immediate. Faith teaches you to rest without guilt. Rest is not quitting. It is trusting that the world will not collapse if you stop pushing for a moment. When you rest in faith, you acknowledge that God is working even when you are still. You allow your mind to quiet, your heart to settle, and your body to recover. This kind of rest renews your clarity and restores your courage. It reminds you that you are not the sole force holding your life together. At the same time, faith teaches you to act. Rest does not mean passivity. Strength requires movement, choices, and responsibility. Faith-inspired action is not driven by panic or desperation. It is guided by purpose and trust. You take the step that is in front of you, even if you cannot see the entire path. You do what you can with what you have, believing that God will meet your effort with guidance and support. Action rooted in faith is steady, not frantic, and disciplined, not fearful. Hope weaves rest and action together. Hope is what keeps you moving when progress feels slow and outcomes are uncertain. It is the quiet belief that what you are doing matters, even when results are invisible. Hope allows you to act without immediate reward and to rest without giving up. It lifts your eyes beyond the present struggle and reminds you that your story is still unfolding. When faith teaches you to rest, act, and hope at the same time, your strength becomes resilient rather than rigid. You no longer burn out at the first sign of difficulty, and you no longer collapse when things do not go as planned. You bend, adjust, and continue. You learn that strength is not about control, it is about trust combined with effort. This kind of strength carries you through uncertainty. It helps you face challenges without losing your inner balance. You know when to push forward and when to pause. You know when to speak and when to wait. And through it all, hope keeps your heart anchored, reminding you that God's care does not expire in hard seasons. Strength born of faith does not shout. It does not need to prove itself. It shows up quietly, day after day, in your willingness to keep going, to keep believing, and to keep trusting. It is the strength that endures, because it is not drawn from your limits alone, but from a faith that sustains you beyond them.